Welcome back, everyone. Again, this is a day two of a series review with our resident expert. Today we have Sanjay. Welcome to the show, Sanjay.
Hi, Suman.
Hey, so day two, really a Joe Root day. So summarize this for us.
So, firstly, we've been very spoiled for choices in terms of how the Test cricket has been of late. You see so many wickets, so many runs, in the last few series, or even if you look at the last 4 5 years. So, compared to that, this was sort of a dull day. India doing relatively okay-ish, considering that England are completely in the box seat. They scored almost 300 runs, very similar to yesterday. Only lost 5 wickets. Joe Root getting a double hundred, and India, really is just looking to maybe draw this game. That's the best result they can hope for. There's no chance I can see that they will be able to win this one. So from an England perspective, complete domination. Some people may think whether they should have declared the innings later in the third session, but considering that the pressure would be on India to go for the result, I think they're playing safe. They want to take this as big as possible, just bat out even first session tomorrow and try and make it just one-sided affair where India can only block and try to. So if we go by session, the first session, so the last ball of yesterday was Sibley getting out to Bumrah, a good Yorker, and then the first session you had Ben Stokes doing what Ben Stokes does best. No wickets lost at all. And they went at a decent click from any of the seamers. The seamers were the ones who looked like they would be more threatening compared to any other bowlers, I thought. So that was lunch. Tea, there was only one wicket that fell. That was Ben Stokes getting out to Shahbaz Nadeem left arm spin, trying to slog it, and Pujara taking a classic catch which just ended up in his rib cage, bucket, tummy or wherever, but he ended up holding on to that. So that was good. And then if we go quickly on to the third session, that's where I thought England could have maybe pushed on, get to maybe 600, maybe have a crack at India later in the day. But overall, I thought that England did really well. Ishant Sharma picking up a couple of wickets, really toiled hard, very, very well bowled to him. Bumrah looked threatening again. But all the other spinners didn't look really, making any inroads into England's batting. Washington Sundar, I thought, was the most disappointing one from my perspective, as I see it, because one is he couldn't hold on to one end, trying to, ensure that they do not score at a quick rate. The other thing was that he didn't look like picking up much wickets, apart from that Rohit Sharma dolly, which was. Poor guy. He should have held on to that. Nadeem got a couple of wickets. Obviously Ben Stokes earlier in the day, and then that was the overall day's stats. So, when your thoughts?
From an Indian fan perspective, of course, it was disappointing. But from a Test cricket point of view, if you look at Joe Root, I read through some stats as well. Looks like Kane Williams and Joe Root combined have scored 600 plus runs this year alone, which is, we are not even talking about 40 days into 2021. So this shows the quality of the batting England is bringing through. My summary of the day is India have not gone past the thought that pitch is not conducive. I think they have given up to the fact that pitch is just not useful for bowling. When Rohit Sharma coming into bowl, when we have 5 bowlers in a test match, that sums up as to the sentiment of the team. But having said that, full credit to Team England. Ben Stokes and Joe Root looked through the first hour. We spoke yesterday that the first hour will be crucial for both teams. I think Joe Root, what can we say? People are starting to compare him with Sachin Tendulkar record. So
it's from an English perspective. Joe Root is sort of a guy where he will always be where he's trying to prove people right, because he is the one. If you look at last 15 years, he was the prodigy from Yorkshire, and no one's surprised that he's doing so well. He's always done well, and last year obviously for a couple of years he had this slump where he would always get 50s and get out, but he's making the most of 2021. This looks to be a massive year. 17 test matches, playing England, and if they do well in this series, they could play the World Test Championship final. So that'd be 18 Test matches potentially. He could outnumber anyone in the past era in a calendar year, and I think he'll talk to any of the other records. He'll definitely go past Alistair Cook, I think. So from an English perspective, great start to the series. He sets the tempo, and the pressure will be on India to come back and try to win the series now.
And if you notice, one of the key stats which we put it on our screen is the most 50 plus scores in first 100 matches of their career. What a company Joe Root to be in. He's on top. Sunil Gavaskar, Brian Lara, Sachin Tendulkar, and Rahul Dravid. What do you think of that?
He is. One is that England obviously play a lot of Test cricket. So he made his debut almost 1.5 years after Virat Kohli. But Virat Kohli is 87 Test matches. He's already touched 100. And obviously the company he is in, they are the legends of the game. So and Joe Root will end up being one of the legendary batsmen we have. The only difference I see from batting perspective is that all the subcontinent batsmen, especially in the current Indian setup, no one really plays spin the way Joe Root plays. If you look at Pujara, he's the one who would charge down the wicket and try and maneuver the ball here and there. Virat Kohli is very straight batted. No one plays the sweeps and reverse sweeps as much as Joe Root does. Maybe it's the influence of Andy Flower over the years, or even before Andy Flower, you had the likes of Gooch, Gatting playing sweeps at sweeps regularly. From an Indian perspective, I think the last time I saw someone playing so much sweep and so successfully was maybe Hayden back in 2001. Everyone else seems to play from the crease, etc. So that's the trick, and I think it's really ominous for England, for India. If they can't get Joe Root, quickly, we are looking at really tough series ahead, I think.
It is a good segue. Everybody knows by now what you think of Virat Kohli and his captaincy. So people are starting to talk about his tactics, day 2 of the series. Thoughts?
I don't think he could have done much differently. I think the first thing is the pitch seems to be very, very flat. Having said that, England were lucky to get a first use of it, so it makes it easier for them to pile up the runs when the pitch is at its best state. From a tactics wise, I mean, you can't help people bowling so many no balls. Luckily, we did not pick up any wicket off the no balls. I thought the selection, I mean, we keep harping on this point. The selection, seems to, in hindsight, you should have had a wrist spinner maybe. Whether he would have made any difference or not is something different. It's something completely out of our control. But maybe he would have been more effective. Maybe he would have been effective against the lower order batsmen. So from a tactics wise, I don't think he could have done much. But one thing which clearly stands out to me is that so in Australia series, if you see, the spinners' lines were much more towards the stumps. Whereas I thought here we could have had much, or maybe an off stump or outside off stump line, because you would have, every time you had some, flight given to the ball, you had some bite of the surface. So maybe that's the only thing I can think of. Whereas we've continued to pack the leg side and just try and hope that the guys will make a mistake, flick off the legs, etc.
Yeah.
But otherwise, I don't think there's too much to criticize at this point. But we need him firing with the bat. That's for sure.
Correct. And let's switch to socials. One of the stats, so coming to the first test result, day 2, I think it is fair to say that either it is an England win or it is a draw, basis how India bats, because like Kaustubh stat says on the screen, the last time England won a test match in India was at Calcutta in 2012. Similarities in England first innings then and now. Captain and top scorer was at 377 balls, Cook and Root. And the next scorer was 87, Trott and Sibley. So do you agree that this is trending towards either a draw or England in a strong position to push for a result?
Absolutely. I don't think there's any way India would be able to win unless someone plays like a fastest double 100 or something, where India ends up batting 7-8 sessions. And I think we should, buckle down and try and go for a draw. And then, hopefully the curators would give us a better pitch to enforce a result. I liked a comment where I think it was Mark Butcher who asked, Lakshman Shivaramakrishnan whether he expects 50% crowd in the next test match, and he said, hopefully there'll be 50% crowds, and hopefully the pitch would be 50% more responsive. All the cards are in England's hands. I would be very happy to come out of this as as an Indian fan with a draw.
So let's look at the three social posts and then we can wrap the day two coverage. Purul Modi, the desperation of Indian fans showing up batting kab aayegi. So hopefully tomorrow sometime.
Sabko batting milega.
Abhinesh Warrior makes a fantastic point, which has been spoken about as well. Umpiring so far has been exceptional in this test match. They got two reviews, two on the spot turned down. That is great work, especially with Indian umpires.
Yeah, and we burned out all three reviews, and then we had a potential Nick off Butler from Washington Sundar, which we couldn't take. So
and to sum it up, let's look at the most engaged posts so far during the day two. Siddharth Rai started the conversation saying, "Shall we say Kohli's back of his half-baked decisions and Nadeem leaking runs like anything, or wait for the results to say that?" I think it is fair question to ask. And then Abhinesh Warrior points out what we spoke yesterday. Kuldeep or Chahal's inclusion would have made a difference. Then Vivek Vasudevan points out baffling decisions by captain. When will he learn? And then, luckily Nadeem came through with a couple of wickets. So I think that's how the engagement ended. But it is fascinating to see how the fans are reacting. My personal opinion is, including me, I haven't expected England to come so hard in the first test match. So time will tell. This is going to be a close series. So, and plus, more importantly, we are looking for a day three, either declaration or cleaning up the tail pretty quickly, and then India hopefully not ending up with a follow-on situation tomorrow. So
yeah, I think anything in terms of if we bat anything less than 5 sessions, I think we are in trouble because if we bat less than 5 sessions, I can't see us getting more than 400 runs. They would be 200 runs lead ahead. They could bat another session or so, give us 350 on last day, and that will be very difficult for us to combat. I think the other thing to consider is the fast bowlers at our end have looked more threatening than the spinners for some reason. Reverse swing is also a factor with Jofra Archer, Ben Stokes, and James Anderson. I think they would be a handful with the runs on board.
Thanks, Sanjay, for your time on a Saturday. Appreciate it. So hopefully day three is India's day. Until then, feel free to drop us a comment or let us know what you want to see on these daily reviews. We are happy to incorporate that. See you tomorrow and enjoy day three.